deal with airplane peanuts.
Over the past few years, we've had the privilege of interviewing dozens of the nation's best comedians right here on Joke World. And typically, these interviews consist of a 10 to 15 minute conversation centered around comedy news and include some rare insights about the comedy world from the people really doing it. But recently, we sat down with Ian Fidance for half an hour of chaos that might just be the funniest Zoom interview we've ever recorded, while talking about his new special, Wild, Happy, and Free. Ian Fidance, thank you for coming on the show today. This is actually our second time interviewing Ian on Joke World. Really appreciate it. My first question for you is about the entire process of self-funding and self-producing a special for YouTube. Outside of all the time it takes to hone in the material, how much other shit is involved behind the scenes on these independent projects that other people might never realize?
A lot. Everything. From, figuring out, I'm so sorry. My superintendent he's here to fix the air conditioner. Do you mind if I just run up and get it? I'm so sorry, Jake.
Yeah, go up there.
This is exactly why I kept pushing it back, because they were supposed to be here at fucking 11 a.m., which is fuck. All right, I'll be right back.
All right.
God damn it. Holy shit. Jake.
Yeah.
Jake, I'm sorry. My landlord died 2 months ago, and ever since then, it's been a nightmare getting actual people over here. And the super didn't have his translator here. I'm learning Spanish on Babbel, promo code B and Ian, so that I can talk to my superintendent easier, that we can fix the things that have been going wrong in the apartment, because I've been here since 2007 and the place is falling apart. Anyway, the hardest part about self-funding your own special is everything. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. That's very funny. All right. Well, you just did a run of podcasts to promote the new special. Over the course of your career so far, you've been on a ton of different podcasts, but do you have a favorite show to be a guest on?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I think Are You Garbage? Just because those are my guys. We started together in Philly. We have such a history together. No one knows me like them. No one knows them like I do. And it's so much fun getting to hang out and make each other laugh. And any podcast I can be on where I get to just feel so much like myself. I mean, that's why I love doing the podcast with Jordan, because we've known each other for so long. So it's just any chance I get to be like silly and just have fun, as much fun as possible, I love. And nobody makes me laugh like those guys,
Yeah.
So when we get going, it reminds me of like the nights at 2 a.m. when we were outside of, these comedy clubs in the West Village barking to get people in, and everything was like miserable, and we just had to make each other laugh so we didn't kill ourselves. And, seeing where we're all at and everything is just like the coolest thing in the world. And it's not lost on me that we're just so lucky that we get to. I mean, laughter is so important, and the fact that we get to do it with people that we're close with is so wonderful to me. So I really love being on the show with them.
Back to the special. During your special, you referenced a picture of your cat, Samson, on stage. What was the total inspiration for your stage design there? You had the chairs, you had a cool backdrop.
Yeah, so I wanted the special to feel like a throwback to the specials in the 80s and 90s with actual set design. I did an intro for the special. I did an outro for the special. And it wasn't just, like walking up to the stage or walking through the kitchen or whatever. I really love the old school specials where they had actual sketches before the special. And I not a knock to anyone, but so many people put out specials and it's just a background and the lights and the velvet curtain and everything. And I just, one of the things I loved about old school comedy was the set design and having, big pillars and this and that. And so the inspiration for the set design was kind of kick it old school to make it like those old specials I grew up on. And we used everything for the set design was from the venue, the Cutting Room. It's a old school classic New York venue. Joan Rivers used to have a show there. It's been around for decades and decades and decades. And so we got the chairs, the desk, the lights, the lamps, everything was in the actual venue. And so me and one of my close friends, John Nunn, who helped out with the special, he did set design. And I wanted everything on this to be a collaborative effort. So I really wanted it to feel like very familial, and because it's not, I mean, yes, it's my special, but it would not have been done, it could not have been done, and it would have been nowhere near what it is without the people that are involved. So I wanted that to come across, and a big way of doing that was the set design, to have everyone's input on it. And of course I had to tie it together with a photo of my cat, making it look like it was a memorial for his death, when in fact he's very much alive, and he will never even know that I did this because he doesn't speak English. But I've told him.
Yeah, just wait till the Neuralink, and then he'll be
I
honored.
can't wait, bro. I cannot wait.
Elon Musk, that stupid South African fuck, he wants to put a chip in our brain so that we don't have to tip-tap type on the phone and we can just send text without even typing. Fuck you, put a chip in my brain so I can know what my cat's thinking.
Well, that's really cool. I didn't even realize that was a nod to the old specials. Yeah, you're right. They'd have like whole like New York street designs with like trash cans or something back there. But the parts before and after the special, the Ghostbusters intro and the Dave Attell cameo at the end, at what point during like the planning of an entire special do you start thinking about the fun extra stuff that's outside the material?
Oh, I had that in my head before the special. I had, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to build it around. And a lot of people were like, look, dude, it's going to be too much. Don't worry about it. Just get this belt. Why don't you just put this out and worry about it on the next one? Just get this out. We want you to concentrate just on this and then worry about that later. And then, it'll be something to look forward to. I was like, no, the next one's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. I've been working my fucking dick off. I'm spending my money on it. I might as well fucking go in the hole even more to do the thing that I want. I know I'm going to make it back, and you're not going to tell me no. I'm going to do it because this is what I want. And I'm so glad I did. And it was really cool. Again, it was a collaborative effort of having different groups of people come together to make this work, and it was really neat to see it all come together. And from the very start to the very end, it was completely my vision, everything I wanted, and to see that come to life was really, really cool. And I can't wait to the next one because I already know what the intro and outro is going to be. I just have to fill in the act.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear you're passionate about that kind of stuff too. And then it worked out well in the end too. Like you were right about all that stuff. It's made it so much cooler.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm so glad that, even from the music that was used, the two bands, King Nine, they're a New York hardcore band, and Drug Church, I'm friends with those guys. So to get them involved and everything was really cool. And the ska song was that's me playing guitar.
Oh, wow.
Like that's the ska band I was in from like 14 to 19, so like I very much wanted to use and have people involved that are in my personal life and in my circle and everything. And so I love being able to do that, and just even having Jordan on the God mic and having her like slap my butt when I walk on, and have Dave at the end, like that was so important to me. And so for all that to come through and people actually see it is really cool, because you can create something and make something and it can be lost on people, but for people to see it and recognize that makes me feel very good. And the fact that I know what I'm doing, and the fact that people can recognize that and see it as well, is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the themes that you came back to a few times in the special is you being, quote, not for everybody. Do you have a favorite story or interaction with someone where that was the case?
Oh man. Well, I did have a couple themes in the special, which was, me being a lot, me being intense, me being sober, and then I touch on my sexuality, and then I touch on death and gratitude. And I really developed the special in kind of an arc, to start out with this kind of like more silly, abstract thing, and then it kind of notches up, and then the end ties it together with this more serious, funny kind of closing. And when I was building it, I was kind of picking up all these stories and everything. I actually cut a bunch from the taping because it just didn't fit. But I do have a couple. One that's coming to mind is John Laster, do you know him? He's a MC at the Cellar, huge, like 6'4" black dude, played baseball, very funny. He and I have been friends for years. And I really do ride a bicycle around the city. I really do listen to music on it. I really am shirtless. I really am crazy. And so I'll see friends around and, we'll ride around. Hey, how you doing? Ian, hey, what's up? So one day I'm riding through Brooklyn. I see him on a street corner with a bunch of his friends, and I'm shirtless. I got my music playing, and I ding my bell, and I go, "Hey, Johnny, how you doing?" And he doesn't say anything back, and I'm like, whatever. So I just ride along, and then that night at the Cellar, he grabs me. He's like, "Dude, that was the funniest thing in the world." Because I'm with a bunch of my like old Brooklyn boys, and they're like, "Yo, is that one of you guys? Is that your friend?" And he denied knowing me. He goes, no, that's a fan, man. I don't know who that is.
That's a perfect example. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, another question from the special. Have you heard any good street jokes since filming the special? And in your opinion, what's the beauty of just a simple street joke?
Oh, man. I think the beauty of a street joke is the wink and the nod that comes with it at the end, because it's kind of a thing you shouldn't say. And there's different levels. I love like a little giggler. I love nothing that's going to alienate a million people, because there are some pretty bad street jokes out there that it is funny, because depending on how deep south I get, the more horrific street jokes will come out. And then I'll have to be like, no, man, no, I'm not like your boy. We're not drinking at the bar. Do not say that to me. We're the meet and greet line. What's the matter with you? My favorite one that someone told me, it's quick. It's a kid says to his dad, he goes, "Dad, what's the difference between theory and reality?" And the dad goes, "Okay, go ask your sister if she'll have sex with the neighbor for $1 million." And he asks the sister says yes. He goes back to the dad and goes, "She said yes." And he goes, "Okay, go ask your mom if she'll have sex with the neighbor for $2 million. So the kid goes, "Hey, Mom, will you have sex with the neighbor for $2 million? The mom says yes. Kid goes back to dad and goes, "Mom said yes." He goes, "Okay." And the kid goes, "Well, what's the difference between theory and reality?" He goes, "Well, in theory, we're a bunch of millionaires. In reality, we're living with a couple of whores."
That's classic. That's just a great.
It's just like a silly classic. Yeah. I don't know. It just reminds me of sitting around the dinner table as a kid, and my grandfather that helped raise me, everybody had stories about him. So they'd either we called him Poppy. Everybody would either tell Poppy stories or they'd tell like street jokes, and just a bunch of people drinking, eating, laughing, telling these stories, telling these jokes. Just laughter was so important to me growing up. And that kind of brings me back to a part of my childhood of like hearing these like ridiculous jokes and stories that were kind of the backbone of what was, for better or worse, a very intense, traumatic upbringing. This was like basically like a nice little safe area for me to be in, which was jokes and laughter, that took me away from a bunch of stuff. So it was nice. Those are good memories.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Kippy and Foley, while we were talking about them earlier, they also put out full specials on their podcast YouTube channel. Like you did, you uploaded your special to the B and Ian with Jordan channel. How has that response been from the B and Ian fans? And is Jordan jealous that her special is on a different channel?
Dude, the response has been great. I'm like, it's always scary when you put something out there in the world that you've been working on. Will people get it? Will people like it? And a lot of my act is incredibly vulnerable and truthful towards me. So the risk of that is like, when I'm talking about myself in such a kind of, I'm very much exposing these truths about myself that are wildly personal. So it's like, if you don't like the joke, that's one thing. But if you don't like the joke about the thing I'm talking about, well, then you're also rejecting me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been a little bit of a mind fuck, is because I spent so long crafting it and everything and making it work in different parts of the country, in different rooms, and then putting it out there for the world to see and then have people dig it has been really great, because that was, just not the rejection of the joke, rejection of me and who I am, is a very scary thing. So I've been really grateful with how many people have been rocking with it and digging it. And the messages I've been getting have been, overwhelmingly positive, especially from comics and everything, which has been
Mhm.
really, really great. Putting it on the Beanie and with Jordan YouTube, I think is a great idea, especially with the Are You Garbage guys doing it, because it's twofold. You get your fan base, and then when people see the special, they'll see the podcast. When they see the podcast,
Right.
they'll see the special, And I don't even know if she knows what day it is, let alone what channel her special's on. So I don't think we have to worry about that at
That's
all.
hilarious. What has the process been like post uploading the special, working out new material? Like you said, you talk about some vulnerable things and you're putting yourself out there to be rejected, not only the joke, but yourself. When you're out of your completely refined, polished material, starting from scratch, do you tend to go towards topics that are more less personal, so you're not, having to risk that rejection? Or how has it been just writing all new jokes?
I've really been enjoying it, because I filmed it in December and I hit the road hard January until I'd say end of April. I was on the road every weekend. I was out from like February 2nd until March 6th on the road almost every night
Wow.
out west. So I really got to build and build and build. And I had the benefit of no one seeing the special yet. So I've basically transitioned from doing jokes from the special to now I've worked really, really hard at not repeating jokes. So like if you come see me for a weekend, if you come to all 5 shows, you probably won't, you'll see maybe 2 or 3 repeated jokes,
Wow.
maybe. I do a different set each night and I try to go and just speak in the cadence of jokes, whether I'm talking about my day or I'm talking about this experience or this thought or this idea. And I did that because I wanted to make sure when the special came out, even if I didn't have any material, I could talk in material. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I've been really enjoying the fact because I get a lot of repeats. Like someone will see me on the first show and then they'll come back for the rest of the weekend. And if I know one person is in the crowd and they've seen a show, I'm like, well, I can't do any jokes. This is fucking, I know they're gonna know that this is an act. So it's I love not knowing where I'm gonna go with things. And so I've really been working on building material that's not material in the sense that taking a topic and seeing if I can talk about it as long as possible in jokes and then moving on to the next topic. And the things I've been talking about personally, I've been digging deeper and deeper. And I've actually found in dissecting my own life more and more that I think I really have some anger problems that I never really examined before. I think I'm quick to anger, and I think I like that, and I think I need to work on that. So I've been kind of figuring that out in this next round of building material.
Yeah. As a fan of yours, that's hilarious. To hear that you think you might have some anger problems. Okay. So
Yeah, interesting, right? That's like when I like finally realized I was an alcoholic. I was like the last one to realize it. Everyone else is like, dude, here's the evidence, and I'm like, oh, that kind of does make sense,
yeah, yeah. Just posting hundreds of videos of you getting angry online, and then you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, a few more questions for you here, Ian. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're the man, Jake. Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, so as someone who's never been to Delaware, what exactly makes it the Florida of the North?
Oh wow. Most things are backwards. There's a southern part of Delaware that is as redneck as you could imagine. I call it the Florida of the North because what I see as normal, people describe as hillbilly behavior. And so I think being from Delaware and especially like the upbringing I had to have sharp elbows. I think being from Delaware, parts of Delaware, you're gonna be full of piss and vinegar. And I think that's not the same for different areas. I think it's very much an East Coast thing, like Philly, New York, Boston. It very much breeds a type of person that is crazier than normal, I guess.
Yeah.
You're kind of up against a lot. You kind of got to fight your way through things. And I think the Florida of the North is just like people hear someone's from Florida and they're like, oh, here we go. But no one ever meets someone from Delaware. And I guarantee if you did, you'd be like, oh, all right, well,
Yeah.
that explains it. Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. Do you think there's a correlation behind that East Coast piss and vinegar attitude of Philly, Boston, New York, and then the amount of great comedians that have been born in those areas?
Totally, without a doubt. I mean, also that's it, again, like I'm a big music guy, and I think it correlates to the type of music I listen to. All the music I listen to is mainly East Coast, New York, Boston, Philly. I think it's easy to take things for granted, and when things are easy, you can just assume everything else will be. But when things are tough, and you got to kind of, kick and punch your way through life, whether it's in these areas or with your upbringing, I think it breeds better art, because that's who regular people are. Regular people all throughout the country are people that, work jobs they hate and fucking have to fight their way through life. And that's where I come from, and that's who I speak to, and that's the music I like, and that's the musicians I'm drawn to. And I think when you don't come from that, it's I just can't, I wouldn't want to be any other way, and
Yeah.
I look at some of these other comics that come from different places, and they're very funny and they're very great, but I'll put up East Coast over anywhere else in the entire world for comedy or music or sports, really. I mean, like, the number one rivalry is Yankees Boston. Our National League is Phillies Mets, I feel, and it's these tough cities, tough people, and that to me is I don't know what makes things interesting. When you come from these hostile environments, it breeds better final products, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely true. All right, last question for you here. Skankfest 2024 is coming up right around the corner. What are your thoughts on year 3 in Vegas, and do you have any overall predictions for the weekend?
Yeah, my prediction is that I'm leaving every piece of money I've ever made back in New York. I'm tired of losing money on these fucking fun Vegas excursions. Okay. I need to get a handler, have them duct taped at my side so I don't pay the penny slots till fucking 5 a.m. And other than that, I'm excited. It'll be great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ian. Any upcoming dates, anything besides the special, obviously, that you want to plug? Anything that the people should know?
Oh man, I am coming all over on the road. I punchup.live/Ian Fidance for all my dates. I have a bunch of different clips and chunks behind the punch up wall where all you have to do is just give your email and you have access to a bunch of unedited stand up. I'm actually, the special I put out is like 95% of the first show. So it was 2 sold out shows. The first show we nailed it. The second show was like crazy. It was like an hour and a half of the crowd. It was crazy how, like, the first show everything went off without a hitch. The second show I had to like drop the act, beat up the crowd, and like
Wow.
it was crazy. And there's a ton of material in there that I didn't put in the first show, and it almost feels like that in and of itself was like an art piece of like
Yeah.
how to start in a hole, dig your way out, and make it work. Like, there was a point where I finally got the crowd like 20 minutes in, and verbally, I'm like, now I got you motherfuckers. And they like finally locked with me. But man, it was a fight. And I think I might put that up behind the punch up wall just to see the insanity of this second show and like what we had to work with the crowd. And there were like people just yelling out and people to be like escorted out. It was crazy. It was
That's
crazy.
insane. I would love to see that,
Yeah.
just as a, because it also makes the first show probably look so much more impressive. Or it's just like, what is going on? Do you advertise that you're filming your special? Like, are these your fans coming out, or was it just
Yeah.
a sold out room?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was a lot of people that were really, really, really excited. So like I would say something and they would, yeah, yeah. And I had to be like, yeah, we're like recording a special. Like, you're kind of getting in the way of the punchlines. We love you. And I'm like, I get that you love me, but shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
And,
that's awesome.
yeah, and like some people brought their families, and their families like had never seen me before. So like what's cool is all the people that are like coming to my shows and I'm like selling out, which is great. They're all people that rock with me, which is amazing. But sometimes it is like, oh, I brought my family, or like, I love you, so I brought my girlfriend. And then
Right.
like I'll like leave the venue and I'll hear like the guy be like, no, everything's a joke. It's okay. And the girl, like, "Why are you laughing at that?"
That's
You know.
hilarious. All right, well,
But,
thank you
yeah.
again, Ian. This has been my pleasure talking to you again, getting another interview in, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you at Skankfest.
Always. I love it, man. You're like the center of this world that we're all involved in. And so it's cool to see you and the progress you made. And it's always great to sit down and talk with you, Jake. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. That means a lot. Thank you.
I love Joke World. He's the fucking man, dude. If y'all ain't fucking with Joke World, who are you fucking with? Joke World, can you please clip him saying that Leon is actually ugly, please?
No,
Joke World.
she's very hilarious. Clearly very pretty.